Very good morning to Ivuyo, and very good morning to our viewers right across the country. We're at the Reserve Bank, and in fact we're outside at the moment on one of the balconies. It's a bit chilly, but I'm going to tell you, I think a little bit later on things are going to warm up a little bit, because it is a beautiful story that we're telling. Just to give you a little bit of background, the Reserve Bank was formed in 1921, and it's the oldest central bank in the continent. But the Rand only came into being in 1961, and it was named after the Witwatersrand Ridge. Now, the first face on the Rand note was that of Jan van Riebeck. Well, we've come a long way since, and there's a new face that's going to be unveiled today. And to tell us more about that is the 9th governor of the Reserve Bank and the first woman to hold that position, Governor Gill Marcus. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Welcome to you.
Good morning, Peter. How are you?
Fantastic. So today is a big day. I know that this campaign and this launch is called One of a Kind. Why is that?
Well, first of all, let's just say this is the launch of the information campaign and the communication campaign, because it's really important that we ensure that all South Africans from all walks of life are familiar with the new note that is going to come. It's not yet being introduced into circulation. The introduction into circulation will take place before the end of this year, and we will let people know the dates on when this is going to occur. So what we want to do here over this campaign in the next couple of months is to ensure that every one of us have a sense of identity about what this change note is going to look like. The denominations don't change. We still keep 10, 20, 50, 100 and 200. And the big change is the design. So the design now moves away from the big five on the front, but we move the big five to the back. So each note, for instance, the 10 Rand has the rhino, and the front now it will have, in the new note, it will have a rhino on the back. Similar with the elephant, etc.
So why the change?
The change, first of all, we were faced with the question that in terms of best practice, and given changes in technology, you find that counterfeiting is very common around the world. And best practice is for security features in a note to be upgraded so that it is harder for counterfeiters to catch up with the technology. It's always a chasing game, but you try to keep ahead to protect the integrity of your currency. And therefore, when we were looking at the choice of whether we just do a security feature upgrade, we were discussing to say, well, maybe it's time to actually change the image. Don't forget that the current notes, the notes in circulation, were introduced in 1992. That was after the unbanning of the political parties, but before the election.
Right.
And it was a design that, at the time, it was felt would not meet opposition from all walks of life. Whereas we now actually have moved on quite a lot. We are well into the sort of second decade of the 21st century, and therefore our choice was to say, let us get a design that reflects who we respect, admire, love, not only in South Africa or the continent, but worldwide. And we felt that it was a fitting time to change to the image of Nelson Mandela. So the design features Nelson Mandela on the front, as well as a very African theme to the background to that. And that's part of the beauty of the design, is that it's got a real strength to it. And I hope people will love it as much as we do. And there's been questions about, why move to a face?
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's not unusual. We actually moved away from a face to get the consensus around the current note. But if you look at many countries, the United States, the United Kingdom has the Queen, there are many countries that use a face because they use a face that identifies their history, their pride, their nation, and using Mandela in that way for us is a much loved figure by around the world and ourselves, and it gives us a sense of this note we carry in our pocket reflects who we would like to be as a country and our greatest example of that.
Are we not setting a precedent that maybe future presidents might want to be on the front of these notes?
Well, it shouldn't be about the individual desire to be on a note. This wasn't Nelson Mandela's request.
Right.
I mean, he was delighted at it when we went to show him the designs and so on. So I think future presidents should recognize that this isn't something that it's not about putting a president on a note. It's about putting a figure that represents the entirety of your country and your history and your desires and your wishes for the future and your recognition of the past. And while presidents in most democracies come and go, they have a limited shelf life. In our country, it's 2 terms. And therefore, it's not about a feature saying, I would like to be. And I'm quite sure our presidents are here to serve, and it's not about their desire to be on a note. I think they would recognize that this is a very unique honor. And it's up to us as the South African public to say, as things go forward in whatever period of time, whether there's a new design that's required. I think this one will stand the test of time.
All right, and when can South Africans start to actually put their hands on these notes?
We'll let you know. We'll let you know. It's a very big task to produce the number of notes that we need, and that's what we're busy with. But to recognize, and I think this is extremely important for everybody, is that the current note will continue in circulation. And it is not as if we're going to say, here is one, and the current note has no value. Right. They are of equal value. So a 100 or a 200 or a 10 rand of the current note is equal to the value of the Mandela note.
And I guess importantly, the colors will remain the same.
The colors are the same, probably richer because of the design, but the colors are the same. And we've done, if you look at it, the media campaign will be identifying what people should look at, how to identify that this is a genuine note. As distinct from somebody coming along with a paste up of Mandela and say this is a note. So the campaign is to ensure that you know what to look for. It has very specific features. You know, it's a raised ink. It is for people who are visually impaired. There'll be, for instance, on the 10 rand, there's a line on the front of the note on both sides, so that a person can feel whether it's a 10, two lines would be 20. 5 will be 200. Right. And so
unfortunately, we run out of time, but I think these details will certainly roll out in the media over the coming weeks. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on the program.
Thank you for inviting us, and I hope that you're all as excited as we are about this new note that's coming into being in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so that was the Governor of the Reserve Bank, Gill Marcus, telling us about the new banknotes that will be rolled out soon. Information is what's being rolled out at the moment, and of course, Madiba features on the front of those, and I'm sure that it's going to warm the cockles of the hearts of everybody once they get their hands on that. Well, that's it from us from here for the time being, and with that, let's find out what kind of traffic we have in front of us today. And to tell us is Rob Byrne. Top of the morning to you, Rob Byrne.
Thanks, Peter. Good morning to you. We have a real sort of mixed bag this morning. Some rain in